This body of work is a tribute to my mother, Theresa B. Garnet Leeke, hence Theresa's daughter. And it is a journey of being her daughter that brought me here. The album is a beautiful body of work that focuses on love, loss, resilience, mindfulness, astrology, ancestor veneration or ancestral veneration. It is an invitation to come into my heart-centered awareness, which is what Thriving Mindfully is, a heart-centered awareness to being present well in the real me or the real you. And these 9 tracks, these 9 pieces of work, my poetry and Garnet Jay's amazing music, is an opportunity to take a peek into what it's like to be in my heart, in my soul, in my mind, and in my body. So, one of the things that I wanted to share is what it feels like to arrive at this point in my life with a spoken word album at 60. I want to roll it back just a few decades and share that, I started writing poetry when I was in my preteens, 13, 14, maybe even 12. And I was influenced by Ntozake Shange for Color Girls and Maya Angelou, Dr. Maya Angelou, and a whole host of African American women poets like Nikki Giovanni. I used to read Essence magazine in the 70s, in the 80s, and in the 90s, and I still read it. In those early days, especially when I was a preteen and a teenager, I used to read the poetry of Dr. Angelou and Ntozake Shange and Nikki Giovanni and others. And their poetry was a lifeline for me. I was listening to Billie Holiday. I was an old soul. I had fallen in love with Lady Sings the Blue, the movie with Diana Ross and Billie Holiday and Billy D. Williams. And the music and the poetry really gave me the inspiration to start writing my own. And so I had poetry about nature, poetry about being a young black girl, poetry about crushes, life, music, and it followed me throughout my life. It wasn't until I was 27, the beginning of my Saturn return, for those that are into astrology, that I started to come back to poetry as a lifeline. At the time, I was a recent graduate of law school at Howard University. Got the t-shirt on, School of Law. And I had clerked with a judge, which is typical for folks when they finish law school. I had been working at the Commodity Futures Trading Commission in D.C. And I had also gone back and got a graduate law degree, an LLM in Securities and Financial Regulation, because I wanted to work in finance and Wall Street and investment banking. And so this was 91, 92. And I had been taking the bar exam, and I think I was on my 4th time taking it. I wasn't successful. I was missing it by 1, 2, 3, 5, and 6 points. And so that was like the first time in my life that I had not achieved something that I really set my mind out to accomplish. And I was having a hard time, and I turned to writing and poetry. And as a result of writing for almost a year, I was able to publish a collection of poetry called My Soul Speaks. And that was in 92. And I started sharing it on the radio at WPFW, and it just continued to grow. And a year later, I published another collection. 2 more years later, I'd published more. And I was going to different coffee shops and poetry venues here in DC, much like in Love Jones, and reading my poetry, and also launching my own poetry reading series at a couple of different bookstores. And so poetry became more than just a release of my emotions. It became a central part of my life, and it continues to be. During this time, it really helped me get grounded in my creativity as a soul, S-O-U-L, and a heart anchor, and a practice, a spiritual practice, a creative practice. And now, fast forward, when I think about, wow, I was 27, when I published my first chapbooks of poetry. And now that I'm 60 with a spoken word album, wow. It's divine timing. It's divine timing. It is divine timing, because I came back to poetry during the pandemic, and it is through poetry where I am able to surrender and be a vessel for spirit and my loving, wise, and well ancestors. And it is a holy place for me to allow spirit to stream through me, these divine downloads. And so that's what it feels like at 60. It's very sacred. It's a privilege. It's a privilege to arrive at this time. It's something that my mom used to say, that it was a privilege to be of service. And so at this time, it's a privilege to be of service, to share what Spirit has streamed through me, given to me, channeled through me, and to have my voice be an altar of sorts, an altar of creativity for that expression. So yeah, that's what it means.